The NFL is terrified of the Dallas Cowboys as new reports have come out saying that the Cowboys' trade for George Pickens has caught the eye of some NFC East foes and may be the turn to make the Cowboys real contenders in this upcoming season. Welcome into Cowboys Digest, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're covering the Dallas Cowboys 365 days a year. And Jeremy Fowler went on SportsCenter just a couple days ago and talked about the Cowboys and the trade they made for George Pickens, and had some interesting comments about how other teams are viewing it as a real tide-turning move for this Dallas team. Here is the headline today. NFL teams reportedly think Cowboys' George Pickens trade could, quote, tilt the NFC East race. That is a huge headline right there because the Cowboys' offense last year was just flat out not great. Now, there is stuff to go along with that, but it seems as though this year, with a wide receiver core led by Pickkins and Lamb and Tolbert, that you're going to be looking at a pretty good team on the wide receiver front. You sign Javonte Williams, you get Miles Sanders. Dak Prescott is hopefully going to be back to a better version of Dak Prescott, not what we saw last year. The offensive line looks really solid. It seems the offense is ready to go. And George Pickens was kind of the needle that pushed everything, or whatever you want to call it. He was the big move that really kind of made the Cowboys a true contender, and it seems as though other people believe that as well, that this trade alone has made the Cowboys into a potential to come out here on top of the NFC East. And the NFC East is a loaded division. I mean, we talk about the Eagles, who are Super Bowl champs, the Commanders, and all they had going last year with rookie Jaden Daniels, what they're going to have this year with Deebo Samuel. Like, it is going to be a very good NFC East, but the Cowboys are going to put themselves right at the front of it with this trade, and that's how other teams are seeing it across the league. And let's first start with talking about George Pickens and why this was such a big move, because on first glance, it's thinking, okay, yeah, this guy is a very good player, almost 900 yards last season. He had 14 games, so didn't play the full season, and listen, he had a pretty good amount of targets, but when you consider he was supposed to be the number one target for Pittsburgh, it seems as though he didn't get a lot of his fair share of targets. And, well, that was a big reason why teams were really kind of discussing this player so much, because there was talks of attitude issues, there was talks of just kind of a bunch of things surrounding him on off-field type vibes, rather than what he was performing and putting out there on the football field. Again, had 1,000 yards the year prior, in fact, 1,100 when he had 106 targets. But again, he just felt as though that the targets weren't there, and that kind of caused some of maybe his emotional outrage. And listen, that guy's a menace on the field. We saw how he got drafted. We see certain plays. But from all accounts and reports from minicamp, it seems as though that his whole demeanor, whole attitude has changed in a way. And so that's where we go and kind of look at the report and really kind of dive into it. So here's what we got from Jeremy Fowler, the quotes today from SportsCenter, saying, "This George Pickens trade has the league's full attention, particularly in the NFC East. People I've talked to in that division feel like he can tilt the field for Dallas, and he'll be a major player," end quote. Now, we all kind of knew how big of a factor George Pickens would be in this offense, but in some ways, I think it was a little bit of a surprise to me to hear that the NFC teams who were playing for Super Bowl championships last year were kind of seeing this as a move to really change the tide, because again, organizations are different than fans, and Eagles and all them, George Pickens is going to do nothing. Well, it seems as though your executives, your GMs, they think that he is a key piece and will be a major player this season. And that is partially, in fact, to the roster that the Cowboys have been able to build. Again, I want to go back to this wide receiver room, because you think about it. CeeDee Lamb is your 1. George Pickens is your 2. That guy could be a 1 on, I would say, 75% of rosters in the NFL. Jalen Tolbert being a 3. I'm really excited to see another year of Jonathan Mingo and Jalen Brooks. We know what Kevontae Turpin and his big playability. This is a very good wide receiver room. I would argue it is one of the better wide receiver rooms in the NFL. You talk about the offensive line, the additions in the running back room are good, and I truly believe Jaden Blue is going to overperform his expectations, and I would expect him to be a real key. The hope is that Dak Prescott will be kind of back to his normal form, so the addition of George Pickens is just kind of the start to this. Now, we have a continuation of this report here from Jeremy Fowler, where he talks about George Pickens a little more, saying, quote, "Because he is one of the best contested catchers in the league, body, body conservative things downfield. So he gives this team a new dimension. He kind of put it perfectly. 50-50 balls, he's able to contort his body to catch the ball. I mean, this guy is like a gymnast in the air. He can really kind of go up there and move his body in the way that it needs to be moved to make the catch. And there's been questions, you talk about the early years of Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant not getting those 50-50 balls and kind of voicing his frustration, and Dak just wasn't going to give it to him. Has the tide shifted? Is that going to be something that Dak will do? It seems as though, again, he was a rookie and he was young when he was playing with Dez, so I truly think that it was more of a rookie and young thing and not wanting to throw a potential interception than giving a 50-50 ball to a guy who is a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. And now we've kind of hopefully seen him develop. He's done a little bit more with that with CeeDee Lamb, although CeeDee is just open all the time, to be quite frank. He's just that good. Whereas George Pickens relies a lot more on the 50-50 type ball. So I'm very curious to see how the Cowboys and really his offense is molded in that manner. But he also said some interesting stuff, because this is the part that I mentioned about how the issues in Pittsburgh were off the field, and it seems as though those have now changed. We have this once again from Jeremy Fowler on SportsCenter saying, quote, "The issue really in Pittsburgh was the maturity issues and some of those problems there, but a lot of it stems with Pickens wanting to get the ball and wanting the offense to move properly, having the passing game humming. And so Dallas has that with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb already, so he's walking into a good situation," end quote. Now, I'm sure there's a couple of people looking at this and going, okay, he wants more targets, but he also wants the offense humming. So is he going to be frustrated if the Cowboys are hitting CeeDee Lamb down after down after down, using the running game to advantage, and he's not doing much, but the offense is moving? That's kind of the big question. It seems as though that Jeremy Fowler believes that he has moved on from all that in Pittsburgh, I think, in some way. He looks more mature, and he knows this is a contract year. Like straight up, he knows that if he does not perform this year, the money that he will get in the next season is not going to be as much as it could be. And so for that manner, it's like he's matured 4 or 5 years and within a year. So that's a big thing. And if the offense is moving well and the team is doing good, I don't think George Pickens is going to be that frustrated. And I know he's going to be a part of it. Like the Cowboys, the way this offense is going to work, it's going to be a CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens show. Like that's what I fully believe to see in this year's edition of the Dallas Cowboys. And for that instance, I don't think there's going to be much for him to kind of like complain about. And once again, go back to that contract year, Jeremy Fowler talked about it as well, saying, quote, "The Cowboys feel like he'll be highly motivated as he'll be on his best behavior in a contract year. So this could really pay off. This is a thing where Dallas has made a trade where people stopped and said, okay, this is a factor. So it's really resonated league-wide," end quote. So he talked about NFC East, but this is an entire league thing where the Dallas Cowboys made this move, and it put the league on alert for what the Cowboys could do in this upcoming season. Now, there's still some things that need to be happening. Dak needs to play a little better this year. The offense and the running backs need to perform in hopefully at least decent manner. I'm a little worried about the running back room. I think Jane Blue in the later part of the season will be great, but early on, what's it going to look like? And then on the defensive side, Micah Parsons, get that guy on contract. Like, how exactly are the injuries going to kind of take a toll on this team? So there's a couple of different question marks, but listen, last year, although the team only won 7 games, they were better than that record. And Mike McCarthy wasn't a great coach, in my opinion. I had that from pretty much the day he was hired, that he shouldn't have been there. I don't know that Schottenheimer is going to be better, or as Coach Shoddy, as Tyree calls him. I just personally like the change of scenery, and there's been multiple reports that he's built a good atmosphere with the Dallas Cowboys. So if it works out in a positive manner, then I fully see this George Pickens trade going down as potentially one of the better trades of the offseason for anybody, not just the Cowboys, but for the entire NFL. You talk about pairing this type of stats up with CeeDee Lamb, that makes me happy. It makes me feel positive about what the Cowboys can put up on offense. It's truly just about, will the puzzle pieces connect? I mean, flat out, the talent is there. I believe the coaching, the atmosphere is there with Schottenheimer. Obviously, getting Micah back would help a little bit with that and kind of continue the positive trend, but the ingredients are there. But Are we going to try to make a pizza when we have the ingredients for a cake? Like, that's the big thing that kind of we're looking at. I know that's a weird thing to say, but that's kind of the metaphor that I'm going with. Like, you got to make the right thing. And so far, we've seen that from the Cowboys. Hopefully, they're able to make the cake and not the pizza. That's what we got, though, on today's show. Don't know where that metaphor came from, but hey, it sounded right to me. I appreciate everybody and all the support we've been getting on the latest videos. We're starting to grow here on Cowboys Digest, and I like it. So if you're watching these videos to the end, do me a favor. Go down there and comment real one in the comment section. I want to know everybody who's out there watching these full length and, hey, getting my pizza and cake metaphors. I don't know, whatever. But get down there in the comment section. Let me know you made it to the end of the video and comment real one. I'm going to be liking and commenting back to every single one of you. But yeah, for now, we appreciate everybody joining in, and we'll see you next time here on Cowboys Digest. Peace out, guys.